So most manufacturers grow their business, at least historically, the same way. Start out with a few dedicated customers at a local level who get to know you very well and who provide you a degree of repeat business. Now, that status quo has been brought into question somewhat in recent years with the rise of certain online platforms that are effectively subsidized by either Wall Street or venture capital to allow companies, buyers to come through and purchase through an online platform and disconnect suppliers from that relationship. And that's actually one of the things that we at Trustbridge have set out to really set back in the order we think it ought to be, which is allowing for strong connections to arise between customers and the suppliers who are manufacturing their parts. We just think it's a more sensible way of scaling a business because you need to have that dialogue as you're scaling to production if you have any degree of regulatory consideration for your business. So one of the first really cool ways that Trustbridge helps you grow your brand is by doing it without a sales team, right? So obviously the kind of natural progression historically has been, all right, we got a good manufacturing outfit here. Let's go ahead and hire a sales rep and let's send him out into the world here to hopefully drum up some business for us. And that obviously is the core of what Trustbridge is doing for manufacturers as well, but we're doing it in a very modern way, right? So because we've built a web platform, which is not an uncommon phenomenon, right? There are lots of web platforms out there, although they don't operate quite the way we do, because when you join those platforms, you generally are not connected with the customers. In contrast with Trustbridge, you are. We model our business on facilitating these long-term relationships. And basically, we make money like an independent contractor sales rep would. We make money when you make money. And we're not making it off advertising on the front end. We're not making it off of large transaction fees on transactions where you're basically a sub to us as a general contractor. And so in that sense, you really get to grow your brand, but with us providing some scale on the front end that allows us to identify customers that are going to be a good fit for you and tee you up with those specific opportunities so that you can really shine. The next way that Trustbridge really breaks through is that we allow you to get known for your capabilities, not just having capacity at any given moment. So this phenomenon, you may be aware of it on certain job boards. There may be a manufacturing request that comes in. The GC in this equation has quoted it. And then they go out into the general supply base and see who wants to take this work at lowest price possible. Obviously, that's a tough dynamic for you as a supplier. You are fighting over, at that point, what is relatively, or perhaps very much, thin margins. And you're not facilitating any kind of a relationship with the end customer in this situation. You might deliver fantastic parts, but the customer is never going to know that you delivered it. Now, the intermediary is going to know, and they may come back to you. But again, if they are the face to the customer, they're working with a theoretically deep bench of manufacturers that they can lean on at any given moment. And so it's not really giving you much of a relationship to trust. And instead, you become known as a provider of capacity, not as a provider of unique capability. That's, again, where this separates, because it's not just your machines having availability, but also that dialogue component directly with the customer. That's the thing we set you up with from the very beginning. Customer comes to us, they say we want to get something manufactured. We use our algorithms to assess the request and match it to you if you're a perfect fit. And then we make the introduction directly between you and that customer and let you run with it from there. So again, you're differentiated not simply on having a machine that can run a material, but rather a lot of the kind of more personal aspects of the business that you've invested in and you've grown. The next key area where Trustbridge helps you grow your brand outside of your local metro is by allowing you to facilitate conversations with customers, not just pure fulfillment. So how does that work? Well, when customers submit requests to us through the Trustbridge platform, we utilize our algorithms and team to identify the best suited matching manufacturers on the planet that meet the customer's requests. And then from there, we make the introduction very early on. So we're not getting into the front end quoting process. We're not acting like a general contractor. We're acting like a lead generator and a matchmaker. So what that means is you get to take it from there. You get to have conversations directly with the customer. You get to go ahead and grow that relationship and separate yourself so that you are not a commoditized operator who just happens to run machines well, but rather a person, a real partner, which we think is so central to a great manufacturing relationship. One of the next key barriers that some of our manufacturers encounter is cross-border considerations. Now, Trustbridge is oriented to support customers from all over the planet with manufacturers from all over the planet. And one of the key hurdles in managing that can be communication. Another can be handling payments. So that creates some inherent challenges that we like to think we've solved to a large extent with the way we operate by providing basically escrow services so that customers can make payments to us, and then we can go ahead and pass those payments along to the end customer, the end supplier. But it allows for customers to have just a single name on their buyer list. So it enables them to utilize you as an international provider so much easier. The next key area where Trustbridge is helping enhance the ability of manufacturers from around the world to grow beyond their local jurisdiction is by supporting cross-border payments and communication. So again, with the inbound requests that come to us from customers, we are utilizing our algorithms and our team to assess that and match it to the right suppliers in the world. And in so doing, we are helping facilitate communication between parties and making sure that there's a good enough match there. And in addition, we also offer payments streamlining. So we don't get in the way if a customer wants to make payments directly to you, add you as a supplier to the fold. Again, that's kind of one of the key things that separates us. But to the extent that they do like the idea of utilizing Trustbridge as their bridge to different manufacturers around the planet, we can facilitate that one-stop payment flow where they just add us as their payee of record in their systems. And again, all we're serving as is escrow. We just pass everything straight through. So we don't actually make any judgments on the work that's done or anything like that. When the payment comes to us, the payment goes straight through to the supplier. But in this sense, it does lower the barriers and eliminate the friction that can sometimes exist when we're talking about cross-border contracts. Another key way in which Trustbridge can provide a unique advantage to you as a supplier looking to grow beyond your local boundaries and get a little more geographic diversity or industry diversity is that every project you complete through us is tracked by our system. Now, again, we don't have everything flow through our platform. We enable you guys to work directly. But at the same time, to the extent you do run things consistently through the platform, we can track that and measure the success that's been associated with these past programs so that they can be feathers in your cap for us to celebrate when you are presented to a given customer as a prospective supplier. To sum it all up, there's just a tremendous opportunity with Trustbridge to grow beyond your zip code, to de-risk your core business operations so that you're not completely married to your particular geography and the customers that exist within it. You know, things change. I can tell you, and I'm sure you're already very aware that we're in the midst of a lot of change in global supply chains. And so you want to put yourself in a position where you can't be flat-footed. Instead, utilize Trustbridge as your means to diversify beyond your local area. We're very happy to celebrate and empower the great suppliers, the true craftsmen of the world in making great products and helping the innovators of the world with their products truly innovate. So with all that being said, really hope you appreciated this little video and this little blog. If you did, found it helpful in any way, encourage you to like it, subscribe. I hope to bring you a lot more useful content in the future.